Well, it looks like everyone's favorite Cryomancers got some buffs in the recent update, which might seem odd to most of us since they were already pretty strong, but nevertheless, both Frost and Sub-Zero are now stronger than ever. So without any further ado, let's break down their changes step by step, starting off with Frost. So for starters, the first hit of Out Cold now does more damage, 50 instead of 30, and what that means is, this is actually now one of your more damaging ways to start combos. So that was 148, whereas this poke is only 138, and that's a fantastic change for me personally, because before, this move pretty much only had range, which was still very nice, but you didn't get very much damage for it. It was just for outfootseeing the opponent. And even then, it wasn't the best, because if you landed at max distance, you don't even get the special moves behaving properly, and sadly, they didn't fix that. That was one of the things I actually wanted them to fix, was how a lot of moves react on hit. And sadly, a lot of those issues did not get fixed, but at least we get more damage on this string. That's pretty cool. And in fact, it's not just the first hit that got more damage, the entire string actually does more damage now as well. It does 67.5 instead of 58.5. So not only does the first hit do more damage, but the entire string as a whole also does more damage as well. And that's very nice because on counter hit, this Crushing blows. And before, the damage you got was never actually worth it. You were much better just hit confirming into this. And for the most part, that's still true, especially if your opponent has breakaway. But at least now, if the opponent doesn't have the meter to breakaway, it can actually be worth going for that Crushing blow since it does more damage. And next up, Frost down 3 can now be low parried and standing parried. Once again, I'm not a big fan of this change, but at least it happened to everybody. So now even if your crouching attack doesn't hit low, it can still be beaten by low parries, at least as far as down 3s are concerned. And once again, I'm not the biggest fan of this change, even though it is consistent, because I feel like I already don't have the mix-up since it doesn't hit low, but I still have all the weaknesses because I can still be beaten by a low parry. So no advantage, but still all the disadvantages. But I am at least grateful this change is consistent for every character and not just Frost. And then we have the armor breaking move for Frost, so it's actually her Cyber Head. And I kind of like this change just because I found no reason to actually use this move, but now if the opponent goes for breakaway, it actually beats it. So let's try it right here. Dash forward and do it. And there you go, it breaks armor. Not very good from mid-screen, unfortunately, but in the corner, that's pretty much a relaunch because it sends them so high. And in fact, I think an uppercut might be a better example. Let's try that. Once again, it knocks them pretty far away, so I don't think you can get very much from mid-screen, but there is one example where it does work. So if I make it as fast as possible, a lot of players love to break right here. Now it launches, and you get the follow-ups. So that's kind of cool. That's not the most damaging option. I should have actually gone for the drill. That way you get more damage, and look at that, they're already in the corner. And where the corner is where this breakaway is actually going to shine the most, because once again, Cyberhead sends the opponent so high, it's pretty much a guaranteed combo extender. And don't get me wrong, there are certain things you can do from mid-screen, but it has to be a very good read. It certainly can't be done on reaction, unlike some armor breaking moves. But even so, the good news is Frost has access to this in all 3 of her variations, unlike some characters who unfortunately only have their armor break in 1 or 2 variations. I've already found out some combos where I'm getting over 40% and sometimes close to 50%. Now, of course, it does involve a Crushing blow, but that's what makes armor break so much fun. You land a Crushing blow, the opponent panics and goes for breakaway, and then you catch him for an even more damaging combo. And then last but not least, there is a tiny buff to Auger Lunge, well, more of just a normalization. So now when you launch them, they bounce a little bit closer to you, so check that out. It's very similar to what Shang Tsung got with his Crushing blow. Before, this thing was pretty much impossible to convert off of from mid-screen, and even in the corner, it was super ridiculous because even though you were in the corner, Frost herself would just be pushed backwards by the Elder Gods. And unfortunately, that still happens, but at least the opponent is bounced closer to you as well. Now, I'm not sure why they did that instead of just having Frost stay where she was, but at least now the opponent is still that much closer, so it's going to be a lot easier to now convert off stuff. They're pretty much right next to you. That's very, very nice. Now, unfortunately, as you saw earlier, if the opponent breaks away immediately, it's really tough to close the gap and do your armor break move fast enough, especially from mid-screen. So once again, if you're playing Frost, you want to have a big eye on the opponent's meter, because this is not an easy Crushing blow to get. You have to amplify this drill 3 different times, and the Auger Lunge is not the best move to do most of the time. So So you're already doing a move that is not the best for positioning, and it's not the best for frame advantage in the corner either, and you're doing it 3 times you're spinning that bar. So if you did all that work only for the opponent to break away, you're wasting all that effort. However, the good news is this crushing blow itself doesn't actually cost any meter, and auger lunge is still fast enough to be done after a lengthy combo, which means if you do this crushing blow properly, you're getting some really high damage combos, especially in the corner. And that's actually it for the Frost changes. Once again, I don't think she needed any buffs, but I do wish they addressed a few more of her glitches, like right here. I feel like just change the reaction to the opponent on hit, either from the first hit or the second one, that way they're a bit closer, or just make it to where the first hit of the spin actually sucks them in, that way the follow-up hits can never actually miss the opponent. That would have been a very nice change as well, and unfortunately this string still has a bunch of gaps in it, so I don't remember if it's the second hit or the third hit, but you can straight up fatal blow in the middle of this string, so it has more damage, and its crushing blows a bit better now, but it still has all those gaps, it still has weird pushback on hit, all that stuff, unfortunately. And while I do like how they buffed Variation 2, since Variation 3 is the most popular right now, I wish they had done something about Variation 1, because I never see this variation. Whether it's online or at a tournament, I never see it. So I think it would have been a really good idea to give this variation some buffs as well, kind of like how Variation 2 for Shang Tsung got a bunch of buffs, just to make it that much more viable. But nope, it looks like Variation 1 still got overlooked, and is still unfortunately her worst variation, which means we're pretty much never going to see this move outside of custom combat. My god, I love this move. It looks so cool. She even skates across the floor when she does it. It's such a fun move, but you never see it at competitive or in Combat League, and you definitely don't see it at tournaments, at least not in top 32 or anything crazy like that. But overall, I can't complain. A lot of you know that Frost is my main. I play her more than anybody else. I love her combos. I love her amazing down 3 anti-air. I love her corner combos. And even though I don't like her keep away one bit, I think we can all agree this projectile right here especially is one of the best in the game. And even this projectile is still super annoying just because she fills the screen with 6 projectiles and they all combo even from full screen. So put simply, Frost was already deadly at any distance, and now she just does more damage, which is awesome. And she also had some nice changes to her crushing blows, and her down 3 was normalized, all that good stuff. But I just wish Variation 1 got some love, and I wish they had fixed some of her weird collision problems. But next up, it's time for Sub-Zero. Now thankfully, if you're a Sub-Zero main, the good news is he got very few changes, so you pretty much don't have to adjust your playstyle whatsoever. However, a lot of the changes Sub-Zero did get have to do with his brutal kick. So for starters, it's now 3 frames faster, 25 frames instead of 28. And the reason it's faster is because this is now his move that breaks armor. Now of course the issue is it's quite slow. I'm not sure if it'll even work if the opponent breaks away fast, but let's go ahead and try that. If they break right away, what happens? Hey, it's still fast enough. You gotta have some pretty good timing, but it is fast enough to actually knock them down, and you're at plus 44. And of course, if you break the armor, that means you get the crushing blow. Ooh, so look at that, 42% damage for 2 moves. Not bad, not bad. And honestly, even if you don't want to waste your crushing blow right there, just breaking the armor on the breakaway loads that next crushing blow, because landing it twice in a row also gives you the crushing blow. So in other words, you have 2 different ways to get this crushing blow, which is by the way a brand new crushing blow in case you don't play Sub-Zero. He did not have this before for his brutal kick. And keep in mind the armor break also works on fatal blows as well. So if you beat a fatal blow with this move, you will also get that crushing blow. Now I'm not sure why that would happen because this move is very slow on startup, 25 frames. Even though it is 3 frames faster, that's still quite slow. Now maybe you knock them down and they wake up fatal blow and you catch them. That could be one way to get this crushing blow as well. But outside of that, the main way you're going to get this crushing blow is from beating breakaway. And with all that said, in terms of speed, this armor breaking move does kind of suck. I feel you if you're a Sub-Zero main, you're no way getting it right there. And you're not even really going to get it after a jumping kick. If they do it as late as possible, you can try to get it there. But most of the time, this move's never going to be there unless you land a crushing blow, like an uppercut crushing blow. But the good news is the opponent's grounded for most of Sub-Zero's combos, unless they want to break late like an idiot right there, in which case you still got most of the damage anyway. So sure, the brutal kick's not a very good move for beating breakaway, but if you play Sub-Zero, I would argue the opponent's not doing breakaway most of the time anyway, because they're always so close to the ground. However, do be warned because this move also got a nerf as well. So if the opponent gets a flawless block on you, it's not as good anymore and it has less pushback, so check this out. It's now -6 and they're right in your face, so it's still not punishable. I thought it would be a lot worse than that. It's still -6, so nobody outside of Raijin can punish this, but still, if the opponent flawless blocks this move, you better block immediately, otherwise you're getting punished because nothing you do is going to win. They're gonna beat you every time if they flawless block this brutal kick. And Sub-Zero still has one more buff, so Frigid Storm now does more damage, 80 instead of 60, and I like that because this move isn't terrible, don't get me wrong, it's already great on block, but the startup is pretty slow, so I think it doing more damage makes a lot of sense. Especially if the opponent loves to jump all the time, this can now be a pretty good option if the opponent's a bit further away. If they fall on it, you're getting 80 damage instead of 60. And if you watch that health bar, that's a pretty chunky amount of damage. And last but not least, the hit region of his fatal blow has been adjusted as well, so it pretty much only hits where he shoves out those axes. It no longer hits behind him, and it doesn't even hit above him that much either anymore. It pretty much only hits where he swings those axes, so just keep that in mind. And the good news is that's absolutely everything for Sub-Zero. He still has a ridiculously good crushing blow. He still has a very fast low mix-up, all that good stuff. He still has this, and the slide is still ridiculously fast and travels very fast as well. So he has all that good stuff. Pretty much nothing has changed. His forward 4 got better, his fatal blow's a bit more honest, and he gets a bit more damage on this move. That's the long and short of it. So if you like Sub-Zero the way he was, then rejoice because he barely changed at all. However, if you're one of those people who wanted Sub-Zero to get some buffs, then unfortunately he didn't get very many, but I would also say you're crazy because Sub-Zero is just fine, especially online. But yeah, that's about it for the changes, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And while you're down there, please post your comments on these changes and how you feel about them. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.